Everybody, I'm really pleased to be able to share with you today my Christmas message for this year with the beautiful children from our Catholic school at Aberfoyle Park. I'm delighted that they've honoured me by being present with me today and helping in this presentation of the good news about Jesus that we celebrate at Christmas time. About a week ago I was in a store in Sydney and I noticed that they're selling advent calendars that are being put out by chocolate companies, and I wondered what was in them. I didn't buy one, but I expect that if you do get one and you open up every day that you'll discover something there, maybe a little chocolate or a sweet or a little toy. And I well imagine that if children were given an advent calendar like that, they'd be really delighted, because it would mean through the progress of Advent that they'd have something that would be really attractive to them. But what I've been thinking about is the fact that we have another advent calendar where we open up every day and we look and find the real treasure and the real meaning of Christmas behind it. And it's all about Jesus himself. Every day as we go through Advent, we have an opportunity to reflect on Jesus and the gift that he is to us, that we celebrate especially when we remember his birth on Christmas Day. The gift of Jesus is the sweetest and the most wonderful gift that God has given to the world. At a time when we'd already been given life and existence by God, and this beautiful universe was handed over to us and we ruined it, God then didn't literally wipe his hands of us and go away and say, well, I'm not doing anything more for them. In fact, the second stage of his approach to us, the coming of Jesus, is even more beautiful than the first. Because the moment that Jesus came into the world was a moment of recreation. It's interesting in the scriptures that when they describe what happens to Mary at the moment that she became the mother of God, when Jesus took life within her womb, the language that's used is exactly the same language that's used in the Old Testament to describe the beginning act of creation by God. The Spirit breathed over the waters. The Spirit came over Mary, and Jesus came to flesh within her womb, and the moment of our recreation and rebirth began. So as we celebrate Christmas this year, we do it at a time when we're very much aware of the fact there's violence and bitterness in the world, and it's expressed itself during this year in really horrible ways that we know about, we've seen on the television. So Jesus, the gift of peace himself, asks us to be his agents of peace as we live in the world today. We can't turn our backs on the reality of what we're struggling with and all of the problems and difficulties there are in our lives, but we need to turn to Jesus at Christmas time and allow him to be the gift of peace for us, so that the relationship that we have with him really builds up and becomes stronger, and we're able to really live by the love that he gives us, so that then we too can become his agents as we live in the world and help to make the world a better place. More peace this Christmas can come into being if we allow ourselves to be united with Jesus, and by giving the gift of peace by him, we're then able to use that and share that gift of peace ourselves and make a difference to this world in which we live. So we celebrate Christmas this year remembering once again, as always, the fact of Christ's birth, the beautiful moment of recreation that was for the world. And we ask the Lord to bless us all as we celebrate that. I hope that the day of Christmas and it's the feast of Christmas is a time of great joy for you and your families and all your loved ones. And I hope that this feast of Christmas is a time when you too will rediscover the presence of the Lord in your life and be deeply touched by his love for you. Happy Christmas to everybody, on my behalf and on behalf of all the people of our Archdiocese of Adelaide, but especially on behalf of my dear young friends here from Aberfoyle Park Catholic School. Well, Charlotte, the celebration of Christmas for me is a big event, because my first celebration of Christmas begins at 8 o'clock on Christmas Eve with the Vietnamese community. So I go out and celebrate Mass with them, and there'll be about 4,000 people go to that Mass. So that's really big, and then they have a big celebration afterwards. But I have to leave that Mass and then come to the cathedral for midnight Mass in the cathedral, and then back at the cathedral again for 11 o'clock Mass on Christmas Day itself. So the Masses, those three Masses, are at the centrepiece of it all. I have my other prayers I have to say on my own as well, and to pray for the people and so on. And then normally at my house we gather at 1:30 in the afternoon to have lunch, and then priests who want to come and be part of that too. So by the time that happens, after midnight Mass and everything, you're quite ready to just sit down and relax and have a bit of a snooze, because you don't get much sleep on Christmas night, because by the time you have midnight Mass, it doesn't finish till 1 o'clock. And then I've got to stand at the door of the church and offer Christmas greetings to all the people there. So I'm rarely home before 2 o'clock in the morning. And then up again early enough so you get quite tired out on the afternoon. But that's how it works, and I look forward to it every year. And I'm always taken aback by how quickly it's all over. You know, like about at 7 o'clock on Christmas Eve, I'm ready to go, and I'm going out to Paraka, and it all begins, and then the next thing I know, it's 7 o'clock the next night, and it's all done and finished for a year. So then I start to look forward to it for the next year. Thank you.
What traditional things do you celebrate on Christmas?
What I like most of all about Christmas is the fact that it gives you the opportunity just to pause for a moment, and people, like in family and friends and so on, contact one another. And I'm really overwhelmed every year by all the Christmas cards I get from people. I get a telephone call every Christmas morning, early in the morning, from a woman that I met on the 3rd of October in 1975, the second day I was in my first parish as a priest. And over all these years, she always contacts me on Christmas Day just to wish me all the best. And I find that kind of traditional pattern of greeting to be the most charming and most touching part of all of Christmas. So while the food is important, it really doesn't count for much actually. What does count though is the pattern that we have at Christmas time of actually greeting one another and contacting one another and offering our love to them in our Christmas greetings. And I think that in many ways, for many people, can make a big difference in their lives, because often today people can be quite lonely. And the fact that somebody in their family or someone who's a friend of theirs and has known for some time contacts them makes a lot of difference. And that seems to me to be one of the great things of Christmas.